All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. We'll be talking about Ekotrope OnSite today. Um, Ekotrope OnSite is a new field inspection app built by raters for raters. And in this webinar, we'll cover a number of topics. What is OnSite? We'll talk about our new file library functionality and where that will continue to go. How OnSite can fit into your workflow, how OnSite fits with other parts of Ekotrope Rater. And yeah, we'll get into all of that. Uh, Quick agenda. Um, we'll go through a number of new features like the file library, action items, and required items, code-only inspections when there might not be an Ecotrope model already built. And then we'll talk about some integrations and things like that. All right. Um, uh, we had a question about echo. Are folks out and are you able to hear me all right? Am I echoing?
Um, I'm guessing it was me echoing because we have some other people in the office also.
Okay.
But I'm when I'm on mute, I think it should be fine.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Okay. What is onsite? So, big picture, from Ecotrope's perspective, obviously there's a lot that goes into HERS ratings and a lot of things that go into your process. But we see three pieces, three tools that are used to complete a HERS rating. Specifically completing a HERS rating, not necessarily like running an entire business. Um, the three tools are Ecotrope Rater. You got to build your energy model. You need a tool to do your data collection. And then you need a project management tool to keep everything organized and connect it with the rest of your business. Um, Currently, these three tools, either they are integrated and they're able to talk to each other automatically, or there is a manual process where someone is, taking data from an inspection form and updating Ecotrope, or they're manually uh, taking information from Ecotrope and putting it into their project management system. Um, and there's a lot of just manual administrative tasks that can be duplicative, tedious, and frustrating. So OnSite is a tool that can do a lot of things that a normal inspection app can do. Um, but um, Beyond that, it can integrate directly with Ecotrope Rater. And then it has the ability to also integrate with your project management software, which we'll talk about later. Um, cool. Uh, the basic workflow for on-site is, uh, you know, in, if you imagine you're doing a HERS rating, soup to nuts. So you start, you build a projected rating. You say, okay, this is what I'm expecting to find on site. I'm expecting to see, this wall assembly, this type of mechanical equipment. I need to be below 5 ACH 50. So I'm going to put that in my model as a worst case scenario. Uh, the When an inspection is scheduled in on-site, it pulls that information out of the energy model and puts it in your inspection form. So then your inspector, they get out to the field and they say, "Oh, okay, I know what my target is because it shows what my worst case scenario blower door score is. It shows what model number I'm expecting to see for the mechanical equipment. It shows, oh, I'm expecting to see an R21 wall assembly with 2 by 6, 16-inch on center." And they can just go through and verify those things and take photos uh, however, um, take photos for each of those items. Uh, it also can work off of offline, so you don't need internet access to use on site. And then the last piece is so goes from your projected model into the field. Then your inspector completes the form, fills everything out, takes all the photos, and they click submit. And then it does three things automatically. It updates the Ecotrope energy model with any diagnostic tests or changes they made. If they ran a blower door and they say, It's not 5 ACH 50. It's actually, you know, 1295 CFM 50, which, that automatically updates the energy model to that value. It also sends all of the photos that were taken in that form directly into the energy model. And then it also uh, um, can generate automated reports for your builder. And these reports can be sent directly from OnSite. So it can help speed up how quickly you get a report out to your builder. It takes away any step around manual photo filing or photo storage, and it takes away any data uh, copying from an inspection form into OnSite. So that's what we mean when we say OnSite is integrated with Ekotrope Rater. It takes information out of the projected model, you fill it out, and then it sends it back. Um, and then it can also connect with your project management tool, and we'll get into that a little bit later in terms of how it works with scheduling. Um, all right. Let's talk about some new features. We launched this back in December. We've already added some new features, and when we get into these, we'll also be getting into more of a demo, just so everybody knows. Okay, let's start with the file library. So the Ekotrope file library is in Ekotrope Rater. It's not actually part of OnSite. So when you're going through OnSite, you're taking photos. You're saying, okay, here's my mechanical equipment. I'm going to take a mechanical equipment photo. Here's my blower door photo. I'm going to take my blower door photo here. When those photos get up sent back into Ekotrope Rater, they are automatically named based on where they were taken in the inspection form. So you can now go into Rater and say, "Hey, show me my appliance photos," and boom, it shows you them right there. Show me my infiltration photos, shows them right there. It also brings in any of those site visit reports and a change log. So we'll talk about what that is in a second. It's basically when you're making an update to an energy model, it creates a log in a spreadsheet that tells you exactly what was filled out during the inspection and exactly what was updated in the energy model. So it makes it really clear, like, okay, we started at 5 ACH 50. Okay, the infiltration now shows 1275 or whatever I said a minute ago as my infiltration rate. Okay, so we'll talk about this more as we go along, but right now the file library will eventually, pretty soon it will also show up in the building design. So kind of like you have quick results over on the right of Ekotrope, and you can see your HER score and everything, you'll soon be able to also see your file library. So you can go through your model and say, hey, show me my mechanical equipment, and it'll just all be right there automatically for you. Okay, I'm going to do a quick demo here. So um, just give me one moment while I switch the um, screen share around. Okay, so what happens in Ekotrope Rater when you're using OnSite? So in this instance, uh, I started with this model here, Monroe Street. That was my initial model that I made for this address. I then went out and did a poly seal, like a rough-in inspection. When I did that, I was updating my energy model with information about the framing, about maybe the duct system, things like that. That created a new building design in Ecotrope. That happened on February 19th. I then went back a week later on February 24th and did my pre-drywall insulation inspection. So I may have made updates to my R values in the energy model. So it created a new building design there. I then, a month and a half goes by. It's now April 8th, yesterday. I go out and I do my final inspection. And it now creates a new energy model with updates to maybe my infiltration, maybe my mechanical equipment. Something I haven't mentioned so far is, all of this is highly customizable. So you can customize your inspection form to be however you want. If you want your, modelers to, or your inspectors to update your wall assemblies, you can do that. Other people don't want that. They just want to be told like, hey, is this what I expected or not? So that's how the syncing works. If I go, this is the file library I was just talking about here. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I can now look through here and see all of the photos that were taken during all three of those inspections. So I can do things like, hey, show me my wall photos. And as we get into on-site in the next few minutes, you'll see, we're naming all of these based on where they were taken in the inspection form. Or I could say, show me my windows. Okay, here's my window right there. Um, you also have the ability to, if you don't want it all small like this, you can also tab through the photos. I'm just using my keys right now. Um, it's pretty straightforward. It will also bring in, here are my three inspection reports that were created, and that's these PDFs here. And then also my Excel spreadsheets that show what changed each inspection. Okay. Um, we just released this feature called tags here. Um, we're gonna allow users to build tags into their inspection forms. So now instead of just relying on the naming of the photo, you can also, have photos tagged as, hey, this is a rough-in photo, this is a pre-drywall photo, or this is a, required photo. And then you'd be able to search based on those. So it'll provide a little extra flexibility there. Um, okay, couple other things. Um, right now, this lives out here in the project dashboard, as we call it, and you do have the ability to download them. What I was showing a minute ago is that this will eventually be brought into the building design. So just like quick results, you can kind of open and close here. Um, there will be a tab there to open and close your file library. Also, this file library, you can upload things outside of OnSite. A lot of folks will upload things like their plan sets. If they're building SketchUp files, you can upload a SketchUp file. Maybe spreadsheets that you have for, testing or something else. But you can put just about any file in here. You can't do videos, but you can do just about everything else. And it has unlimited storage. So, this can completely replace if you're paying for, a certain amount of Dropbox storage, this can kind of take over all of that functionality there and save you some money. So uh, that's how the file library works. I'm going to go back to the presentation and then we'll get into uh, OnSite as an inspection tool. So we're kind of starting at the end here a little bit. Give me one moment while I move the presentation around. Okay. Um, One new feature we've added is action items. So this is a new feature in the inspection form. So you're doing your data collection, but you might also need to leave an action item for your builder. This is a pretty common practice that a lot of inspection tools use, but we wanted to call this out as a new feature. Um, so action items, uh, they can be generated on site, and they also you can recall photos from earlier in your inspection and reuse them. And it also can just help, your inspectors stay aligned on what needs to still be done on a job. Um, how these show up in reports? Right now we have four options. I just kind of created this. This is a screenshot of an output report from OnSite. You can call out must fix, areas of concern, great work, and just informational act photos. So, however you want, this is going to be builder facing, potentially code official facing. So, it's going to bring that uh, ability to put these in your output reports. Okay, the other piece I want to touch on here is requirements. So, um, as many of us know, there's a lot of requirements around, hey, you have to have certain photos to meet the ResNet, HERS rating QA standard. You have to have your diagnostic testing photos. That's a must. Uh, other things like maybe, uh, electric meter number, you may or may not need, depending on the job. So, uh, as a result, we've added the ability to set requirements in your forms. So, in these forms, um, you can require fields. They are soft requirements, which means, if the inspector gets out on site and they're expecting to do a final inspection, and let's say, hey, one of the required items is a blower door photo, but they get to the field and the home's not ready. It's not ready for a final test. Well, you still need to do an inspection. There's still data collection you can do. You can still test bath fans. You can still do other stuff. So it's a soft requirement where if it's not filled out, it gets called out several times. And right before you hit submit, it'll say like, "Hey, are you sure you want to submit this? Here's all the required items you haven't filled out." So it makes it really clear, and a lot of the folks using OnSite right now um, are aligning these requirements with the required ResNet photos so that they know, they're covering their butt with the required photos. Okay, we're now going to actually go into OnSite. I know we haven't actually shown OnSite yet. We're going to show a little some of this stuff in action. Okay. Um, So I'm now in OnSite. So if I'm a inspector, this is what I have. Okay. I got my final inspection form. Again, this entire inspection form is completely customizable by your organization. This is one example that someone has built for their company. But this is you know, completely however you want it. So for instance, I'm going to show, okay, infiltration. Okay, we're bringing in, okay, the energy model has 4.5, the projected energy model has 4.5 ACH. So OnSite is going to say, hey, this is the infiltration target. This is the goal. This is kind of the worst case that was put in the projected model. You have to be below this number on your CFM, um, and you have to take your photos. So, for instance, the blower door test photo in this instance is not required, but the test configuration photo is required. You can see that little red asterisk right there. So let's say I run the test. I'm going to go ahead and bring in a photo. Okay. And I'll bring in a photo here as well. So you can either upload them from your camera roll or take it in the app. Also, these photos do retain the location metadata, so they are geotagged. Um, so this one comes out to um, do, all right, 2.5 ACH. So this was listed into ACH. Let's say, okay, I'm doing the blower door. I was doing it on the front door, and my infiltration value was 823. Okay, so we're a little low on that ACH, but you can see we show you what your infiltration value is, the updated version, as opposed to the original target version, and you're getting your green check. If I was above that number, like let's say I had 2,000, it would call me out as saying, hey, this is wrong. So I'll do 820. Okay. Okay. Um, all required fields are complete. Great. I'm now going to say check. I'm going to close that section. Okay. Another section I want to call out is the inspection summary. So this is, you can say, hey, bottom line, does this inspection pass or fail? I'm going to say we pass. And here's where you can add action items. So I might add an action item where I'll say, hey, I'm going to say, hey, must fix. You're not meeting the required attic insulation. Then I'm going to say, here, let me get the photo in. But I don't want to be too mean. So great work. And I know I'm mixing a blower door and an insulation here, but just bear with me. So we now have some action items. I can see a clear track of, okay, here's what my changes are that I made. I added some photos. I said the blower door testing location was at the front door, and I entered an infiltration value. I can also generate different reports. I'm going to go ahead and generate um, these reports. Um, I can show you what that looks like. So here's what the inspection form looks like. Calls out my action items. I didn't fill everything out, but if I had filled out my distribution systems and my ventilation, those would be filled out. Um, Going back to on-site, I can then say, okay, I'm going to submit my inspection. Okay, here's where I can say, do I want to send my report to the builder? Yes or no. If you would have had to have entered a builder email ahead of time. But again, that's something that can be integrated with your project management system. So if you have the builder email in there, it can automate sending that email out to them. And that report I was just showing is also highly customizable in terms of what data points show up there. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to submit. Oh, wait, am I sure I want to submit? I haven't filled out all of my required fields. I'm going to go ahead and submit anyways. All right, so we'll just give it a moment. All right, inspection submitted. Wonderful. Um, so now if I go into Ekotrope, I now can see here's my updated building design. I can see, okay, my photos, but here I'll show you. I go to infiltration, I can see 820. That's the number I put in that blower door number. So that's what this integration does here. Um, and then photos. Uh, here are the 4 photos I just took, or I just put into that form there. So everything's being synced automatically. All right. All right. So that's action items and requirements. Also, just a quick demo again of on-site. So code-only homes. What if you don't have an Ekotrope project? So can you use OnSite if you haven't built a projected energy model? Yes, you can. We're calling them code-only inspections. The thinking here is, hey, you get a call saying, hey, I need a blower door, yesterday. Um, can you come out and run a blower door for me? Um, well, are you going to go and this isn't for a HERS rating, this is just for a code-only home. Well, we don't want you to have two inspection tools, one for your HERS ratings and one for everything else. So we've enabled code-only inspections. So this is a independent inspection form that does not pull data out of Ekotrope because there's no project to pull from Ekotrope. However, once you fill out the inspection, uh, all of the data and all of the photos are still sent and stored in Ekotrope Rater. So I'll show you what this looks like in just a second. Um, but this, expands your ability to use OnSite across all of your inspections, not just your, perfect situation where you have a HERS rating, you have a projected model, all of that stuff. One tool for every inspection type. Um, so I can just show this real quick. Thank you for bearing with me while we jump around a little bit. So in Ekotrope Rater, you may have noticed this new section called Project Type up here in the top right. I can now do inspection only projects. So these are projects that were not created in Ekotrope. They were created in OnSite. And then when the inspection was completed, it created an Ekotrope model to store the photos. So for instance, here's a project where, this isn't a code only home, but this is one where, hey, a builder called and said, hey, can you come look at my slab? Can you, verify, is my slab installation correct? Well, I didn't have a projected energy model ready to go, but I needed to go out and do that inspection. So I did one of these code only inspections, and I now have all of these photos collected and named in the same way I can with OnSite. Um, so eventually we'll be able to connect these with the rest of the project, but this is one example of uh, how you can do an inspection even if there's not a connected energy model at the time of an inspection. Okay. Um, okay. Let's talk a little bit about workflow integration here. Um, OnSite can be customized to meet the workflow that you need. So there's a number of ways OnSite can be customized. It can, the inspection form that we showed earlier, all of those are fully customizable by the user. The output reports, what you potentially send to your builder or a code official, fully customizable. Uh, and then this last piece is uh, your workflow. So we've built API endpoints so that you have the ability to connect your project management or scheduling tool. So let's say you have a scheduling tool where you schedule inspectors and you say, hey, Outin is going to go out and do a pre-drywall on this home tomorrow. Um, we now have the ability where your project management tool can automatically do that in OnSite. And so your inspector, they don't need to have multiple tools up. They just have to have Ekotrope OnSite up and it will show them, hey, I'm doing these inspections tomorrow. Um, or, oh, hey, I was just assigned this inspection. So, and that integration is going to continue to expand. We've had requests to add the ability to pull photos out of Ekotrope OnSite and inspection reports through the API. So that will likely be added soon. And then, your project management, you still have access to everything, but in terms of how your team is interacting with it, it's all right there in Ekotrope. So we know that, hey, scheduling and business operations are really important, and creating these integrations um, help that kind of overhead of coordinating all your inspectors, and it keeps everyone aligned using uh, the same tools. And Ekotrope, we have a lot of experience with these types of integrations, and will help you implement them, and in some cases build them and offer them. So the whole idea here is, on-site HERS raters are typically doing similar things, but a lot of them have their own flavor of how they like to do inspections, what they like collected, what their standard is for their inspectors. So the whole idea is on-site can be customized to fit your team's workflow, excuse me, and be built for the needs of your company. Okay. So we're gonna, go back kind of big picture, future, where is this going? So what are some other things in Ecotrope Radar that on-site potentially connects well with? Um, oh, sorry. One thing is, QA track. So we have a QA tool that um, you know, does similar work to what the ResNet QA app and Kibana does. But by using Onsite, you now can bring all your photos directly into Ecotrope Radar and have your QA checklists and QA tracking all in Radar. So pretty soon, instead of having, four different screens up like you're in the Matrix with your plans, your field reports, your Ecotrope model, and your QA app, it can now all be in one place where you can have your energy model, you can have your file library up, and your QA checklist up all in one window. Um, Product listings. So this is where we're going to talk about AI a little bit. So we don't have much AI in on-site at the moment, but the goal is that, hey, this will eventually be able to look at a photo and read a model number. And we now have product listings and AHRI integration so that, you know, pretty soon we'll be able to go from, hey, here's a photo of a heat pump to, okay, here's a photo of a heat pump. It now can go into our database, say, okay, here's the model number for the outdoor system, here's the model for the indoor system. Do we have a match in our product listings or for our AHRI reference number? And it can just automatically pull that for you. Um, so it saves you a trip to the AHRI directory. It saves you, uh, the manual copy step of typing in and kind of, fine lining that model number photo. It can just do it for you. Um, it would ask you to review it before it made that change, but it can do some of that heavy lifting for you. The basic goal here is we want to reduce internal data transfer and paperwork, free up time so your team, instead of, hey, I'm just going to spend the next hour uploading my photos into different folders and typing up my site visit report, instead of spending an hour doing that, it's now an hour you can spend talking to your builders, spending more time on site training subcontractors, driving to another two inspections. It is the idea is, can we free up some of this admin time uh, in exchange for more time interacting with buildings, interacting with builders, and providing value to the home in general. Uh, all right. I think that's about all we have in terms of the inspection or in terms of the presentation today. I think we'll continue to do some demos as we go through some of the questions. But yeah, thank you everybody. Uh, Auden, what are some of the questions we've had so far?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. It's a great presentation. We have a bunch of questions. I answered some of them, but I'll ask you to answer some of them also. So we have a couple of questions around photos. First, Anthony Lisanti asks if there is a limit to the number of photos.
Yeah, Tony, there's not a limit. Um, you have unlimited photo storage in Ecotrope. Um, yeah, there is no limit. You know, I don't think we've discussed that there would be at some point. So, we're uh, our goal is, hey, you can put these files in here and they are going to live here for however many years you need them to live there. Uh, and, we'll take on that responsibility of storing them.
Thank you. And then Jameson Lens asks, the photo saves to my camera roll. And I can answer this one, Patrick. So currently well, there is a toggle so you can have them saved to your device. It doesn't work well with iPhones right now because this is a web app and not a native app. Um, but there is this option, and we have got some positive feedback from Android devices. And also, our thinking is you shouldn't need to because we store all the photos for you. So you can download everything from our photo gallery, and that way you don't have to fill up your phone with photos. And then there is one question here from John Kawaguchi. How does OnSite handle photo format from an iPhone? The default is HEIC. Is that accepted in the app from the library?
Um, yes, I believe it is. Right. Yeah. So it works well with iPhone, Android, um, iPads, other tablets. Uh, it's widely applicable. We tested on a number of different platforms and have users currently doing inspections on all sorts of devices. And if we do run into any issues there, we take them very seriously, and that's uh, a high priority for us to get it fixed. But I don't think we've had many issues. There's a lot of really good tools out there to make for developing applications for phones and tablets to make them widely usable.
Yeah. And to add to that, we do convert the photo away from HIC and into a normal JPEG file when we store them.
Great.
Um, Let me see.
I can take
So,
this one from Brian
okay.
about CFM and ACH. So Brian asks, most of the time we want CFM/ACH. Is there an option for shell area? Yes. So again, your inspection form, it's very customizable. We can set it up however you like, especially if something is an option in Ekotrope Rater. It's very easy for us to add that into OnSite. So um, all of those, I think there's like seven or so options for infiltration units. All of those are potential options. So yes.
Maybe you can take this one from Jared Dorsey also. Will jobs need to be modeled first before we could use OnSite? If so, how much will need to be done before OnSite will function?
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about at the end with the inspection only projects where you don't need to have a energy model built before you go to the field. But I would say it helps because then you can get that information in your inspector's hands when they're in the field. Um, it also can just help with um, getting the most value out of the integration um, with OnSite.
Yeah. And I would like to add to that the model is how we transfer information from the office to the field.
Hmm.
So, the more information you want your inspector to have, the more you would have to put in the model. That's kind of how it works. Um, yeah. I had one up here that I wanted to answer from Anthony Lisanti again. So if Raider A does the primal inspection, Raider B conducts final inspections. Will Raider B be able to see open tasks created by Raider A? And this is a feature we're currently working on. So right now, every inspection is kind of individual, and the information would have to be synced back to Raider and fetched. But I think within a couple of weeks, maybe a month, we will have the project gallery that the inspector can view all the files that are uploaded for a certain project in OnSite. So they will see the report. Radar B will see the report that Raider A made in the pre-drywall inspection.
Yeah. So the inspectors will be able to see everything that was done on a project up to that point.
Mhm. Um, and there's a lot of questions there. Thank you all for sending this in.
I
Um,
see this one from Samantha of would an RFI be able to assign or request a final report from a HERS modeler once the final inspection is completed and submitted to Ekotrope through OnSite? Um, so uh, I if I'm understanding your if I'm understanding your question correctly, the final report is a Ekotrope rater report, not a site visit report from OnSite. Um, And currently, the answer to that is no. The field inspectors, they can generate reports about the site visit, but they cannot generate something like the HERS certificate from on-site. Um, we do have a feature that can do that automatically without going into Ecotrope called Reports API. So I think this is something that could potentially be done down the road. Um, but we haven't built that functionality currently. And something I'll just add is, we've been working on onsite since about August of last year, so about 8 months. And we've already come all this way. We've already done all of this stuff, and we have a dedicated development team for this. So onsite is going to continue to improve, just like you've seen Ecotrope Radar evolve over the years. We're going to continue to add stuff. It's going to continue to improve, and things like that, where hey, maybe I want my inspector to be able to generate a Energy Star certificate or something like that while they're in the field. That can eventually be done potentially. Great question.
yeah, thank you. There are a couple of questions here just about kind of the app and how that works. So one is, do you have to purchase this tool? One is, so what is limited on-site app, if any, working with Apple iOS, iPhone, iPads? And there is this one question about, can I find this app in the App Store?
Yeah. So on-site is a additional it's an additional feature, so it does have a cost associated with it. I'd be happy to talk about that. We'll be after this webinar, we'll be sending out a follow-up email with the recording as well as a quick survey. If you're interested in having another discussion about on-site, potentially directly with us, please fill that survey out and we can be in touch. But yes, it does cost. What was the other part of that question, Auden?
Yeah, I can answer that one. Do we find in the App Store and does it work with devices? And this is what we call a progressive web app, which means it runs through your browser. So it works on any type of device, if it's a computer or a tablet or a phone. And it's not in the App Store yet. You have to go to our website, onsite.ekotrope.com, and you'll see the app there and you can, yeah, download it as a progressive website like Patrick is.
Yeah, so
Progressive
I
web
just have
app.
it on my phone
Yeah,
and I can bring it on up, and there we go.
exactly. But yeah, if you want that, reach out to us. You will not have access until you reach out to us and talk to Patrick about that.
All right. Are there any games in the app for when I have downtime? No, unless, filling out inspection forms is a game to you. You could do that for fun, I guess. Uh, but no.
I suspect maybe that was from one of our developers because there is an Easter egg game in there right now that I know
Oh, there
you.
is. Oh, great.
Yeah, yeah. So if you press around enough, you might find it.
Ah, very cool. Um, does my provider need to purchase this as I'm just a HERS rater? No, you can. This is an inspection app. This is not a accredited energy modeling tool. You are able to go, work directly with us to use on-site if you so choose. There are some providers that are offering on-site, and you have the ability to contract kind of through them, but it's not required.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's one here. If using an app for blower door and duct testing, are you able to upload a PDF report or only a photo of the manometer?
Yeah, so if what we suggest right now, I think, eventually we would love to have an integration with RetroTech or TechTite where you can do that automatically. But right now, what we suggest is, hey, you run your TechTite, you run your RetroTech. Like I showed earlier, someone was just taking a photo of it. But the other option is if you are generating like that TechTite PDF, you can just take a screenshot of it and then upload it as a photo into the inspection form. That has seemed to work pretty well for people.
Yeah. And to add to that, there is a question here if we do the blower door calcs, and yes, we can do them for you also, but a lot of people prefer to use TechTite.
Um, all right. It looks like we do have a question about offline use. Um, so be, is this going to have to be through the phone/tablet connection? Would that require multiple tabs? No. So um, we have this dispatching scheduling workflow where basically you say, hey, the inspector is going to do this inspection on this date, and it's tied to this Ekotrope project. That way, OnSite can load all of the information into your phone before you go out to the field. So then when you're out in the field, you can just go ahead and look through what's been scheduled for you. Also, if you get to the end of an inspection, you don't have service, well, you can't submit the inspection back to Ekotrope. If you just hit the submit inspection button and start driving to your next site, it will basically wait until you have service again to upload the results of the inspection. And it will communicate when that has happened and when that maybe if it had an issue or something like that, it communicates to you. So um, your inspectors can, clearly tell uh, what has been synced and what hasn't been synced.
Yeah. And just to add here, we said it's a web-based app, it's a progressive web app, but it functions exactly like a normal app. Like you don't have to be connected to the internet. You can navigate back and forth inside the app when you're offline. So it's kind of just technically it's a progressive web app, but feeling wise, it will look exactly like a normal app for you.
Great. We have a question about do providers automatically see all the photos and information? Um, yes. Well, not automatically. Once you share a project with a provider, they would have access to that file library. Um, this is an interesting question. We could potentially put controls in place where you wouldn't necessarily share all the files, but we just haven't had that request from any users. I think, if that's of interest and, you want to sign on for on-site, that's something we could potentially build. Um, all right. We had another question.
There are a few questions here of kind of what happens when the inspection is done.
Okay.
So there's one question here that is like, so you could literally run your final report while you are still at the house after completing the final inspection. And then there's another here, would on-site then send automatic reminders to the Hearst modeler responsible for registering a certain project and or store this queue, so to speak, within Ecotrope? Or is this related to on-site communicating with separate project tracking software? So I think
Um,
they're a little bit related. Do you want to go for it, Patrick?
yeah. I guess on the yeah, so there's a couple things here. There's the inspection report, which, yes, that can be sent directly from the field when you finish the inspection. There's also the report out of Ecotrope, which I think that's something that we could potentially add down the road. But yeah, basically the whole point is, hey, you fill out your inspection, you call out your action items, you leave some notes, and then you hit submit, and you have the option to send that report immediately to the builder if you want. and it also automatically sends all that information to Ecotrope Rater and updates the energy model. So it completely cuts out that manual work that you might have to do on a daily basis. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. And also right now when the inspection is done, we have the opportunity to send an email to whatever address you specify. So that way you could have a radar email where they will be notified that now this inspection is done and here's the CSV sheet of all the changes that was done. So that would work kind of as notification, and we have also had the APIs that will update automatically whenever an inspection is done. So if you want to build a tool or if you want to sync that back to your project management tool, it will know exactly when each inspection is done.
it's true. Um, okay. Yeah, it looks like we do have a. Can we update a final and existing on a renovation using the same form? Um, yes, we can definitely do that, Patrick. Um, we would need that's a slightly Massachusetts specific thing, so I think we might need to build a little bit of customization there, but we can definitely set it up to automatically update an inspection, like a final inspection and a uh, renovation. Um,
Yeah, there's a question here from Matt Wright. Can inspection reports be templatized for typical deficiencies?
yeah, yeah, great question. So you do create template reports, so your output report from an inspection will be the same every time. At this point, we don't have the ability to, recall the same action item over and over again. Um, but I think that could be added. There's no reason it can't do that. But I like that idea. Yeah.
Thank you. And then this last one here. On the reports, does the metadata show is the date, time, location, and person who took the photo listed, or is it accessible at all?
Um, yeah, so I mean, the inspection does show who the inspector was, which can be associated with who took the photo. And it does have GPS coordinates, so it will show you where the photos were taken. I think it can also tell you what time the inspection occurred. Uh, and so I would say the answer is yes. I don't know if there's a place to show the very specific metadata on each individual photo. I don't know if that's available in on-site currently. Do you know, Howden?
In OnSite, no, but in Radar, in the file gallery, you can see the location the photo was taken, the
Mm.
time the photo was taken, and the time the photo was uploaded. And we do not currently show who took the photo on each individual photo there, but that is definitely something we can add.
Gotcha. Yeah, here I can show that. So here down here it shows here's the location of the photo, and then here's when it was captured and when it was uploaded. Um, yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about. Oh, are these dispatched to inspectors or do they get them from Ecotrope in the field? So they are dispatched. So inspections are dispatched. So all the inspector has to do is open up OnSite and it'll say, here are the inspections that have been scheduled for me today or tomorrow or whatever uh, filter the inspectors put in there. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. That's all we have today. We're really excited about Ecotrope OnSite, and this will not be the last time you hear us talk about it. Uh, if you are interested, we will be sending a survey out along with a link to the recording of this webinar later today. And you can go ahead and fill that survey out if you want to have a follow-up call to talk more in depth about onsite. But other than that, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Auden, for emceeing. But Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Patrick, for holding this.
See everybody.